Right. Let us move on to the code. What is this method overloading? If you are trying to define more than one method in the same class with the same name but different number of parameters, different type of parameters, or different order of parameters, then we are going to call it as method overloading. If you define more than one method in the same class with the same name with a different number of parameters or different order of parameters, then we are going to call it as method overloading. So let me give you this. I have public void show. What is the name of the method we have? Show. So here I was taking show method with public void show integer. Public void show. Now, what is the name of the method we have? Show. Already we have a method called show. One more method we are defining. The difference here is the number of parameters what we have is 0. In this case, we have one parameter. So I was giving system.debug integer parameter. So what is the difference between these two methods? Method name is same, but number of parameters are different. So if you have more than one method with the same name, but with a different number of parameters, we have more than one method with the same name with a different number of parameters, then public void. Now, what is the difference you find here? Number of parameters are same. Now already we have a show method with one integer parameter. But now what is this? Now number of parameters are one only, but type of parameter is string. Previous method is with integer, this method is with string. So if you define more than one method in the same class with the same name with a different number of parameter, 0 parameter, 1 parameter. Second, with a different type of parameter, show integer age, show string name. Number of parameters are one only, but the type of parameters are integer, another one is string. The type of parameter integer, another one is string. If you define more than one method in the same class with a different number of parameter, different type of parameter, Now, last two. Now, method name is same. Number of parameters are 2. Type of parameter is also integer string, integer string. But what is the difference here? Order of parameter. Even if method name is same, number of parameters are same, type of parameters are same, but order of parameters are different. So what is a method overloading? In the same class, if I define more than one method in the same class, if I define more than one method with the same name with a different number of parameter, different type of parameter, different order of parameter, then it is called method overloading. I hope you got the concept. So defining more than one method in the same class with a different number of parameters, different type of parameters, different order of parameters, then we call it as method overloading. Then we call it as method overloading. Right. But when you call any method while execution, right. Then I have here e dot show. When I call a method, it verifies. Do you have any method called show? Yes. Do you have any method show with 0 parameters? Yes. Call the method. When you call a method, first they verify. Do you have any method with this name? Yes, we have. If there are more than one method, okay, how many parameters they have? 0 parameters. If they have parameter, what type of parameter it is? So first they check the method name, then check the number of parameters, then they check the type of parameters, then they check the order of parameters. At a time, how many methods will be called? E dot show, execute. The particular show method without parameters is called. With no parameters. The same one. So it is going to call show with string parameter. So while invoking, now if I give are you clear about it? This is how we are creating. So create a method, more than one method in the same class with a different number of parameters, different type of parameters. We define more than one method. With same name, different number of parameters, with different type of parameters, different order of parameter, then we call it as method overloading. If we define more than one method with the same name with a different number of parameters or different type of parameters or different order of parameters, then we call it as method overloading. I hope everyone has followed this example. Everyone has followed this example? Okay. Now, why are you defining like this? What is the advantage of this? See, not everybody we want to perform some action. There is a possibility of implementing the same action in multiple forms. Now, I may ask you login with your registered mobile number. Enter your number, I'll send you OTP, enter the OTP, I'll give you. Log in with username, password. Or somebody say, log in with your registered email address. Then in that case, when you say log in with the registered mobile number, format is different. Method is login only. But what are you passing? Your phone number. I told log in with email. What is the input I have to give? Login, email. What I told? Log in with username, password. Login, username, password. So all the three procedures are what? All the three procedures are what? Same procedure. Okay. Procedure is same. Okay. Method is same. Login, login, login. But the way I am giving an option, I want to give more than one choice for you. Why I am giving more than one choice? To make it customer friendly. Now if I say everybody has to log in with the username, password, everyone will log in. But I want to relax it based on the customer convenience. Boss, if you don't remember the username, password, you can also register with log in with your mobile number. If you don't remember the mobile number what you registered, you can also register with your email. We are making comfort zone for the customer. Trying to provide more than one option. Trying to define more than one way to perform the same action. At the end of the game, what are we trying to do? Login only. At the end of the game, we are trying to perform login to make it comfortable to the customer. We are trying to provide more than one option. More than one way. Regularly. Like we take. Now we are trying to understand the procedure. What is the procedure we had? The first point. I want to search. When you want to search, somebody say search. Now you want to search my data. Now somebody will search based on Satish Mehla name. Somebody want to search based on Satish Mehla Captain 4. Somebody want to search Satish Mehla Salesforce trainer. Somebody want to search, okay, Salesforce Tech, okay, so and so company. Now the people who are working with me, they know the company which I am working, and you people don't know the company which I am working. You know Satish Mehla Captain 4 solution. You always search with this name. Okay. Now the colleagues of mine know the complete name of mine, okay, and the company which I am working, they search based on that data. My classmates will be knowing the college in which I studied, they search my name with the class name. Am I right or wrong? Right. So what is it? In this case, all of you are trying to search my data only. When you are trying to search my data, not everybody has the complete data of mine. Right? You doesn't know which college I studied. You doesn't know which school I studied. Now when you search, you don't search on this. My classmates who okay done engineering with me, they doesn't know right now what I am doing. Okay, when they want to search, they search based on my college name and my name. My schoolmates may be knowing my school which I studied. They don't know what I am doing currently, where I am. They don't know my mobile number or email. They want to search based on my school name and my name. So in all this case, we are giving an option. If the Facebook says you have to give his current mobile number and email ID, then only I will provide his data. Nobody will use Facebook. Am I right or not? Nobody will use the Facebook. The connections will not be there in the Facebook. So we are trying to provide more than one way to perform an action to make it customer friendly. Because everybody may or may not process the same. There is a way of doing the thing there is more than one way of doing the things. I am providing you an option to do the same action in more than one way to make it customer friendly. That our concept is your method overloading. Did you get my point? Yes or no? Change your expressions, boss. Morning, fresh class, very new, fresh class. So frustrated. Right. Have you received the concept? Right. Right. Okay. Now, then I used to give the other example. Now, making a payment, credit card payment. Credit card payment. Okay. When you say payment of your bill, you're making, okay, you're purchasing some product on the Amazon. You want to make a payment. Somebody choose net banking. Somebody choose net banking. Somebody choose online. Okay. Somebody choose a credit card. Somebody choose debit card. All the three are what? The same way of making a payment. Now they have given an option: payment with online banking, payment with the credit card, payment with your debit card, payment with your Paytm or some Google Pay. Now all these are what? The options what they give. At the end of the game, what is the action you are doing? Okay, you are making a payment. Now if you want to do with a Google Pay, this is a different procedure. They don't ask you username, password. You want to do with the net banking, username, password. You want to do with a credit card, number, CVV, and expiry date. They don't ask any other data. So the procedures are different. Okay, the action what we are trying to perform is the same. The process what we follow is different. So when the method name is same, with a different number of parameter, different type of parameter, different order of parameter, we call it as method overloading. I hope everyone is good with this, right? Everyone is good with this? Followed? Yeah. Now, the same concept. If you want to apply a constructor, first let me create one execution. E dot show. We also call E dot show 90. Now, this is calling a show with 0 parameter, calling a show with the 2 parameters with a string comma integer. This is integer comma string. Right? This all. The same concept applied for constructor. The same concept applied for a constructor, that is called constructor overloading. Applied for a method, it's a method overloading. If you define more than one constructor in the same class with a different number of parameter, different type of parameter, different order of parameter, that is called constructor overloading. If the concept is applied on the method, it is a method overloading. If I apply the same concept for the constructor, it is called constructor overloading. Method overloading and constructor overloading. If you define more than one constructor in the same class with same name, with different number of parameters or different order of parameters, with a different type of parameters or different order of parameters, then we call it as constructor overloading. Now public class Now, if you don't give any value, they are taking default values. If you are giving a name, whatever the name you are giving, they are assigning it. Age they are taking as 90. If you are giving the age, whatever the age you are giving, If you don't give the name, Satish, they will take it. If you don't give the age, 90 they are going to take. If you give the name, whatever the name you are giving, that will be taken, age will be given as 90. Whatever the age you have given, that age will be taken, name will be taken as Satish. I hope you are good. So defining more than one constructor in the same class with a different number of parameters, different order of parameters. Even I can extend this. Even though I am taking the same in the above and this, but as per the constructor is concerned, the both are different. Why? Order is different. So as per the constructor is concerned, both of them are different. I hope you are good with this. So defining more than one constructor in the same class. At a time, how many constructors will be called? At a time, how many constructors will be called? Only one. So when I say E dot name, we don't pass any parameter. Default parameters are, we don't pass any name, default parameters will be taken. The constructor with name and age will be called. This is a big way. I hope you are good with this. Right, boss? So constructor overloading, method overloading. This is also called compile time polymorphism. This is also called as compile time polymorphism. Because when you try to run this, they will check, do you have that method or not? If that method is there, then only it will execute. Otherwise, it will throw error message. If I say even dot is error. No such type method. Example with string, integer, string. So it is what? Compile. They are going to verify it at the compile time itself. Okay, whether method exists or not. So it is called as compile time polymorphism. Right. I hope everyone is good. Now design your own class product info with a constructor overloading. Product info, name and price. Define a constructor overloading. Example, interfaces. Now the major point people have to understand, in the Salesforce we don't define interface. We only use interfaces which are already defined by Salesforce. Like a regular Java programming, .NET programming, we will not define our own interfaces here. We will try to implement existing interfaces. Like let us say, now this will be defined, but majorly in case 99% we don't get an opportunity to create our own interfaces. But okay, if you have to define how will be, but major our perception should be how to implement existing interfaces. Our perception should be in the Salesforce we have a lot of predefined interfaces. How to use them is the major story. To understand this, we are trying to define the interfaces and use it. But our major perception should be what is the how the existing interfaces are implemented in the Salesforce. That is major story for us. Okay, our story is not defining it. Our story is using existing interfaces. Okay, first of all, what is this interface? How we are going to use it? Now let us say, let me make it general to get the concept. Some general discussion I'm making to get the concept right. Right. Now, some guys are there. Now, this fellow want to claim himself as a boyfriend of this Divya. The moment you are using a name called I'm a boyfriend of this girl, you are supposed to provide some services. Some mandatory services are there. Now, if you don't provide that mandatory services, you cannot take a brand called a boyfriend. Now, it's not only Sham or Ram, let anybody in the market, whoever say I'm a boyfriend of this girl, it is a mandatory that you have to provide some services. Now, minimum services are there.
Satish, what are the services?
You're interested. Right. So, when you're going for this, right, now try to get the concept. Okay, try to make it simplified. Now, he has to provide transport, shopping, some charting. Now, it is a must that you have to provide these services. If you don't provide these services, if any one of these services is not provided, then the termination of this race will be there. Now, it is a must that you have to provide. Do you think that these are only 3 services you have to provide? These are minimum services. Apart from that, you want to provide extra services, it's your choice. Nobody will ask you. But this is the mandatory. But when I told these services has to be provided, they are not telling how should you provide. They are telling you are supposed to provide this service. How you provide this service will change from person to person. It is a must that you have to provide this service. But how do you provide this service will change from person to person. This Sham providing a transport, he told I'll pick and drop. Ram booking a Ola cab. Kiran gifted a car. Right. I don't know his address. Don't ask me. Right. Don't ask me. Now, look at the point. Now, the point here is, try to get the point. Point here is, all the 3 people are providing a service called transport. It is a must that you have to provide the service. But how you provide, they are not restricting it. They are only restricting the service what you have to provide, but they are not specifying how you provide. How you have to provide will change from person to person. Now, it is up to the choice of Sham how he is going to offer the service. But the service should be offered. It is a must that you have to offer these 3 services. If any one of these 3 services is not offered, then it will be error. If you want to create any object for a class, the class has to implement all the services in the interface. If you want to create an object, now if you want to implement the object, it's a must that you have to provide this service. Any one of these 3 services is not provided, then you cannot call as a boyfriend. It is a must. Now let us say shopping. Now it is a service. This Sham told, okay, I'll accompany you to the shopping mall. Now Ram told, let us do online start. Now Kiran told, let us take this credit card, don't disturb me. Now what is this? He is offering the service. The way he is offering is changing, but he is providing the service. It is a must. Now this Kiran is okay. He is also offering some extra services, monthly gifts. Now it is not necessary that other people also should provide these two services. Are you getting my point here? It is not necessary that other people have to provide this service. But what are the mandatory services? That's three. How do you know it are mandatory services? It is defined in the interface. Any service defined in the interface. Interface is a collection of unimplemented methods. It will not tell how the method will work. You have to tell how it will work. I will only give the list of services. You have to tell me how are you going to implement this service? How are you going to provide this service? Are you getting? Interface is a collection of services. Is it giving what is the show method is going to do? What the show method is going to do? No, it is not giving. It is only giving name of the service. Now what was this? It is only giving list of services. It is only giving list of services. It is only giving list of services. It is not mentioning what type of service are you going to give. It is not mentioning what type of service you are going to give. It is not mentioning what type of service you are going to give. It is not mentioning what type of service you are going to give. It is not mentioning what type of service you are going to give. It is only going to mention list of services. Are you getting my point here? It's going to give only list of services. Now the point here is next structure. Now who is going to define it? Who is going to define it? Who is going to define it? Now whichever the class, I told anybody who is implementing this service, who is implementing this interface, who is implementing this interface has to define every method in the interface. I told implements. So if the class want to use interface, it has to use a keyword called implements. Class implements interface. Class implements interface. If a class want to use an interface, class implement interface. Class implement interface. Now if I save it, it throws error message. Why? What is it? Must implement show method. Must implement call me method. Must implement show method. Now if a class is implementing interface, it is a must that you have to define what it is. System.debug. So when somebody calls show, what the show method is going to do, you have to define. So the class which is using the interface should define what it is going to do. Are you getting my point here? If you don't define any one of the method, it is going to throw error message. If the class which is using interface has to define every method that is in interface. Class which is using interface has to define every method that is there in the interface. Apart from those methods, if you want to define anything of your choice, it's up to your choice. It is a must that you have to define those two. Apart from that, you want to define anything extra, your choice. Because you are a class. You can have your own methods. But when a class is implementing interface, it is a must that method should be defined. Why should I do that? Why are you defining the method names here? Then why are you using it? You are defining method names here, writing the logics here. Why are you doing that? Straight away we can write in the class only, no? Instead of defining the names there, using here, straight away we can define here or no. Okay. Look at this context. Try to get my point. Now, let us say banking services are banking services. I have ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and SBI. Now, what these people are going to do? They are going to define some services. Now they told show service. So means they are going to create account. Told invoke service. That means they are going to deposit the money. Told call. They defined their own class with 3 methods. Show for creating a new account, invoke for depositing money, call me for withdrawing money. HDFC gave a method. This for creating account. BBB method. This for deposit. So they can use the whatever the name they want, right? When you are defining a class, method name can be anything what you want. So they have defined a class with the different methods. SBI told for create, now how does, now this is the banks, now let us say this is the RBI. Now how does RBI know where, okay, where ICICI is creating an account? Now RBI has to find out, okay, where is created? Go to ICICI Bank, ask where is that, how to create an account, because they are using whatever the names they want. They are using whatever the names they want. They are using whatever the names they want. Then I should know ICICI Bank, when you want to create an account, what is the mother name? I have to ask. Because unless you tell me, I will not be knowing it. Because you are giving your own names. Then RBI felt it is complicated like this. So RBI told, boss, everybody has to use they told everybody has to use the same methods. Now the logic in that, you write whatever you want. ICICI, to create an account you want 10,000 minimum balance, you take it. HDFC, you want 50,000 minimum balance, you take it. SBI, you want 1,000 rupees, take it. Logic is yours, but the service name should be same, so that the people can understand. Okay, if somebody want to create an account, what is the service I have to call? If somebody has to, okay, deposit the money, what is the method I have to call? If everybody is defining their own names, then it's difficult for me to understand what they are. Now, there is an operation. Fetch the data, perform the logic, send email. Now, everybody is going to do the same. They say, okay, this is called bulk operation. I want to fetch 50 million records. Okay, update the data, send a mail to the manager. These records are success, these records are failure. This is my requirement. This job will be done by every company. Now, how does the system on Salesforce understand? Okay, where are you writing the logic for fetching the data? Now, I am writing a logic. So, fetch the data, run the logic, send the email. Now, how does the Salesforce understand in which method you are fetching the data? In which method you are writing a logic? In which method you are sending the email? If you write your own names, for every time I have to go and ask you, where are you fetching the data? Where are you fetching the logic? Where are you writing the logic? Where are you sending? That's why they told, boss, if you want to use this particular concept, you have to take a start method where you have to write a fetching the data. You have to write a execute method where logic should be defined. You have to write a finish method where email program should be defined. Then what happened? Everybody is following the same. That system, when you say run the program, Salesforce directly goes to start method, collect the data, go to execute method, run the logic, go to finish method, send the email. Why? Because I know where the, okay, from where I have to fetch the data, I know where the logic will be, I know where I have to send email. Because everybody is following same names. Everybody is following same name. Are you getting? There's an advantage of having a interface. When you say interface, when service names are fixed, let any class use it. If you are using this concept in this method, this logic will be there. That's fixed. So easy for the system to understand, easy for you to define it. That's why we are maintaining a common naming names for services. If this is the concept, these are the names of the services. Everybody in this method, you have read this type of logic. We are defining the service names. We are predefining the service names and telling in which service what logic should be defined. In which service what type of logic should be defined. So that if everybody follows the same, it is easy for the system to understand what is happening. I hope you got my point. I hope you got, okay. Technically speaking, interface is a collection of unimplemented services. But practically speaking, why you want to do this? To maintain common naming convention for the operations what we perform. For every fixed concept, there will be a group of services, and everybody has to use the same service name to handle it. I hope you got the advantage of going for this. Am I clear? Am I clear with this? Right. Now, so how the class is going to be using? Class implements interface. Now, this fellow has defined the logic according to his requirement. Someone else will define the logic according to his requirement. Logic is your choice. Only the service names are fixed. Right? So, what is an interface? Interface is a collection of unimplemented methods or unimplemented services. It's a collection of service names without implementation. It is a collection of service name without their body. It is a collection of unimplemented methods, whatever the definition you want to. Basically, it is a collection of unimplemented methods. Right. Now, for 10 different classes are there. I have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. For everyone, you want to give a fixed data. For all these classes, whoever is using me, salary is 10,000. Let it be a class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. When you want to give a same data for multiple classes, we go with interface. Now for same data for multiple objects of the same class, static. For the same class, if you create number of objects, for all the objects common data, static variable. I have different classes. Class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. I have different classes. I want to have same common data for multiple classes. Then I will go with the interface. Interface is a collection of data and unimplemented methods. Basically, we use for methods basically, but we can also have data in it. I hope you got. Same class, multiple objects, static. Multiple classes, multiple object, same data I want to transfer, interface. Same initial value. Okay. I hope you are good with this. Right. So how are you going to define the interface? Let us do a couple of examples. Still it's not done. Few more points are there to discuss. Before that, let me say collection of it contains name of the service, but doesn't contain syntax, global or public, interface, This all. Right, next, we cannot create object for the we cannot create an object for the interface. We can create an object for the only class. So if you want to use this, it has to be implemented with a class. For a class, we are going to create an object. Next. Implements. So what was that? Implements is a keyword. If a class want to use the interface, class has to implement. Class can implement more than one interface. When a class implements interface, all the methods when a class implements an interface, all the methods in the interface should be defined by the class. Public class then we had I had a class. Then what is the must for this? Public void deposit what I'm doing, if this dot account number equal to Now I am defining my service. Now class which is using that interface right. So class which is implementing an interface, it has to define all the methods of the interface. Now basically it's a class. Class will have its own variables, class will have its own methods. Apart from these, class also need to implement methods in the interface. Are you getting my point? So basically you are a class. Class will have its own data, class will have its own methods. Now apart from this, you are also supposed to mention additional issues. Right, boss? I hope you're good. I hope you're good with this. Class implements interface. Class implement interface. Class implement interface. Now I told class can implement more than one interface. Then how do you use this? It is a class, right? Create an object for the class, call the methods. Now it is a class with the methods. Create an object for the class and use the methods. Now 90% of our cases will be using predefined interfaces which are already given by the Salesforce. So class, implement, interface what they have given. In that interface, some methods will be there. Define those methods and use it. Conceptually, everyone is good with this? Everyone has followed this? Clear, boss? Right? Now, is it necessary that only that methods in the interface should be defined? No. Those are mandatory. Apart from this, what are the other services you want? You can define it. Now, whatever I gave in the interface is a must. You have to define it. Class implements interface. It is a must that you have to define every method in the interface. The other things are your choice. I hope you are good. Clear? Okay. Now, let us take one example. Create a interface. Create a class example which implements do this, understand this requirement, do that. Yes, Amma.
If class is implementing two interfaces, then how do we call method of a second interface or first interface?
No, it doesn't make a difference, right? In the class only methods are defined, right? So object dot method name. See, there may be two interfaces, but where are you defining the methods? In the class only, no. So
yeah, how we differentiate between second interface and
we
first
cannot differentiate. Names of the methods are different. That's all.
Okay.
If the name is same, common name is there, only one time you have to define.
And the one more point, as you said, the class has multiple methods, and if you want to carry the same value across the methods, then we go for the static variable, right?
No, no. Now, if you have across the multiple objects, if you want the data to be common for multiple objects of the class, okay, then we go for a static. You want some variable to be common for multiple classes, then we go for interface. Now,
Could you please repeat it once again?
repeat. Now I want a variable age here. Starting values. Later we can change it. Then what we do? What happened? It's not necessary that value also should be there. Forget about the values. You want some variable to be available for multiple classes. Then what do you do? The class implements interface, they get the variable called age. Class implements interface, they get the variable called age. Class implement interface, they get the variable called age. There is a variable which should be available for every class, multiple classes. Then you put them in the interface, class implement interface. All the variables in the class will be available for this. All the variables in this interface will be available for this. Did you get my point?
Got it. And the static case,
What is it? Same class, but they want some variable which is common. Now, for 1 and 2, the same age will be referred. Got it?
yes, Satish. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Hello, Satish. One class can implement more than one interface, right?
Yes, Amma.
Thank you.
And Satish, how many standard interfaces are there in Salesforce?
There are many, Amma. Along with the topics, we'll be learning.
Okay.
So, what we are going to do, boss? Public. Now, let us see. Now, I'll. control public class example implements control create public void because I want to print the data. That's why I have taken local variables. Why I took this dot? Because I want to print the value of A, B, and Z. This is our equation. Alright, boss.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
One question.
That is that the
Yes.
interfaces creating on that method should not be public.
Come again?
Public.
Come again?
Interface we are creating, the interface we are creating to methods, right?
Yeah.
So they should be public or non-public or everything.
Not see at the time of defining it's not specified. The people who are using it they will specify it.
Satish,
Yeah.
let's say one person can implement two interfaces.
I'll do
Now,
it.
within two
We
interfaces,
didn't cover that point. We'll be doing it. Multiple interfaces are not done it. I'll do it. Okay. Done this. Okay. So let us go to the next point quickly. Now look at the point. Public interface. I have void, so void call me. Now look at the now I have one more interface. The second I have void show void call me. Void invoke. Now there is interface 1, interface 2. Now class is implementing public class example. Class example. Then what it is going to do? Public void show. Show will be defined only once. Because class cannot have more than one method with the same name. A class cannot have two methods like this. Class cannot have two methods with the same name, same number of parameters, same type of parameters. Both the signatures are same, right? Void show, no parameters. Void show, no parameters. So how many times you define? Only once. Then we have public. And we have public void invoke. Public void. Now, next there is one more method called invoke. Public void. Now, Both of them are same? They are not same, right? Method name is same, but number of parameters are not same. So it's a different method. Can I define two methods in the same class with a different number of parameters? That's what is called method overloading. So I have defined invoke without parameters, invoke with parameter. What is the method we have? So if two interfaces have same method with the same number of parameters, same type of parameters, in the class we are going to define as once only. If two methods are there with the same name but number of parameters are different, both of them we have to define it. Now show, here also we have show, here also we have show. So how many times we define the show? Once. Here we have invoke, here we have invoke, but number of parameters are different. So we have invoke, we have invoke. It is a method overloading concept. Now all of them are defined. Then how do you call the methods? Now who is implementing? Class. Where are the methods defined? In the class. How do you call them? Now you call them whatever the method is. Now for the class, doesn't matter it is from 1 or 2. Now for class it doesn't matter it's 1 or 2 because I have defined everything. So object dot method name. I hope you got the context. People got the context? Okay. Practically you don't need all this stuff. You just require. Okay. Now.
So just one question.
Yeah.
If I wanted to write some other logic for interface 1 in show method, and for the interface 2, I have something
Now
else
the question is, can a class have two methods with the same name, with the same number of parameters, same type of parameters or not? Class will not accept. As per the class, there should be only one method. Okay. In the class, is it a overloading? Is it accepted in the class? It is not accepted. Then how can you define two show methods? Right? So you manage your logic with a different name, or you manage your logic with a same within the functionally handle your logic. Class will not accept two methods with the same name, with the same number of parameters, same type of parameters, same format of parameters. Now the second is that was clear? It was clear. It will not accept it. You have to take it as only one.
Yeah, we need to manage the code to suit the for the both interfaces, or else go for the other interface. Okay.
Right. I hope you are good with this. Right? Is that was clear?
In the previous example, for the return type methods, addition and multiplication, we use void.
I don't want to return any value. The void we are doing from the day one was. Result if we are printing, return type means return the value. Return the value means if it is returning the value, it is return type. Now what I am doing here? It is only performing the print of the value, no? Now I am using the data which is here. This method is not returning the value to me. It is calculating the value. Okay, you go to restaurant, have your food. You are not returning the result. You are coming back and telling me this food is good. It's called return type. You go to restaurant and have your food. It's doing the work. After doing the work, if you come back and tell Satish, you are coming back and telling to me, Satish, I need extra money. It's return type. If you go there, have your food. It's not return type. Now you went to exam. You wrote the exam. You went to examination hall. You wrote the exam. It is doing the work. After writing the exam, okay, you are coming back and telling your pass or fail. It is return type. Okay. I hope good amount. Okay. Right? Okay. The remaining thing will continue tomorrow.
Satish, I have a query.
Yeah.
Satish, I have one query.
Yeah.
I've seen some code I've seen some code where what they're doing is they're putting some default code in interfaces methods. In this class, they're passing parameters.
No, I didn't get you. Please repeat. Echo is coming.
Yeah,
please.
in interface you're having two methods, right? Deposit and withdraw. For example, here, right now in the screen.
Okay.
So some of them, what I've seen example like in deposit, they're putting some code, in withdraw, they're putting some code. From class, they're passing the parameters and making them execute in interface. from there they're fetching the output to the class and they're using it. Is it positive actually?
I didn't get you, boss.
Actually, we have deposit withdraw అనేది రెండు మెథడ్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా.
Okay.
ఆ డిపాజిట్ తో కొంత డిఫాల్ట్ కోడ్ రాసి విత్డ్రాలో కొంత డిఫాల్ట్ కోడ్ రాసి ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో పెట్టారు. క్లాస్ నుంచి ఆ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ఆ పారామీటర్స్ దానికి రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ అంతా పాస్ చేసి
Parameter can be passed. Parameter can be anything. No. Now down the line when you go to S objects and wrapper classes, you'll be passing the classes and the S objects here. There is a passing a parameter. Now when it requires a parameter of account, you have to pass in a parameter of account. First you have to create an account and pass it. Okay. That we'll see when you go to Apex programming. It is possible. We'll see how to implement it when you go to Apex programming.